Good afternoon. Glad you're back in your seats, and keep those sticks down. We don't need prodding and along that. But we're lucky enough to have Rachel McCormick back again. She's I asked her to do a life hacks, and she said, "What do you want?" And so and I kind of left her standing like I did Will. So thank you very much for doing. Looking forward to it. And,
Hello again. Again, my name is Rachel McCormick, and I am from McLeod Farms in McBee, South Carolina. We presented, my brother and I, this morning around 9 a.m., talked a little bit about our farm and everything that we have going on. So then when I was asked to do the life hacks for the busy season, you know, it's like an oxymoron, right? You know, are there truly any life hacks? And the life hack you may think works one season, didn't the next. So, you know, it made me giggle a little bit too. Like, even the session before mine could have been an oxymoron as well. Like, did they really say married? I don't know. There were some divorce periods in there, right? So, you know, I just thought it was kind of funny. So I was just trying to rack my brain of a couple of things that I try to do during the busy season that I thought back maybe helped me this past summer. But again, if you came to our session this morning, you realize that is there even really a busy season and a non-busy season? I don't know the answer to that question either, because something's always going on around the farm. But this is what I came up with, so I hope it helps. I heard there was also a TikTok guy in here earlier. I scroll TikTok a little bit on my phone when I have some time around 10, 11 p.m. But if you know the TikTok I'm talking about, she says, show me the life hack that you randomly saw one day that is now a standard practice of your life. There's some really good ones on there. So if you want to go to that sound, especially some in the kitchen, but this is the one that I said that I do all the time now. So if you did see us this morning, you know that we grow lots of peaches. So this is my life hack. You don't have to have the sound. You see what she does. Cool, right? That's a life hack for a peach. Had to be a freestone. Okay, so we have tried this. We've tried this. We even tried it on camera for our own farm to see if it really works. It does. It has to be ripe, and it has to be a freestone, but keep a pair of long nose pliers in your kitchen, and this really works. I did at one point, but I think they're in my 10-year-old's room now for something, just like the pair of kitchen scissors that you try to keep in the kitchen that are never there, that they always use for other things. But yeah, so that's a fun life hack that now you can try. This was also some of my funnies. So what's going to get you through the busy season is prayer, a lot of coffee. I try to have at least 3 cups by noon. Some eye cream if you're reaching my age. Maybe some frozen pizzas in the freezer. Advil if you're close to a town. I don't know, you got some laundry service or that Walmart Plus membership. If you're like us, though, you're in the middle of nowhere, that's not an option either. So, you know, just try to have that going. But so I heard the guy asking earlier, you know, about seasonal employees. Man, oh man, right? During the busy season, it's hard to keep kids. I mean, we've tried teachers, you know, who have the summer off, and it's just such a hard thing to keep them around. So what do? Number one, you just hire 2 to 5 to 3 more than you think you actually need. You know, I mean, so we kind of come up with this number that we think we're going to need to get through the busy season to help us in the retail store, and then we add on 2 or 3 more people on top of that. Because more than likely, a few of those people are not going to work out. They're going to ask for, everybody's going to want July 4th off, right? And you're like, no. I mean, we've had the maximum amount of people on vacation for that time. So just go ahead and hire a few more people than what you think you actually need. If everyone ends up staying, you prayed hard, right? If everyone ends up staying, you got 2 or 3 extra people, put them on the tasks that sometimes get cumbersome for you, right? Maybe you've seen a girl make a TikTok or take a great picture of the farm. pull her aside and have her take a lot of content in one day even. Maybe tell her to walk around the farm, take 25 photos, and text me. To me, that is a really good way to utilize that person in a quick moment, and, you know, just be able to maybe see who has what strengths, even though you don't need that many cashiers, you know. So maybe try to shuffle a few people around and use them to the best of their ability. But I also understand, too, that takes your time of assigning that person, which I'm terrible at doing, too, right? You could also have them file some paperwork that gets neglected. Jarred product inventory or any other inventory, by the way, you know, especially merchandise as well. Summer is a busy time, and the phone call I dread is, hey, we're out of t-shirts. I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, it takes at least, you know, 2-3 weeks to get new t-shirts in. So assign that person to do some inventories, especially some hot products that, you know, could run low during the busy season. And then I heard the young man also talk about, where do you find these people? On the off season, I've found that connecting with our school's guidance counselor, connecting with the career development person of your particular county, because there's probably someone like that at the district office, right, who is helping students find careers, find summer internships. Maybe they know some kids who need to make some extra money, right, that local guidance counselor. Maybe even the kid who's getting in trouble, who's in ag class, who needs an outlet, right? And so maybe build a relationship with that person, so then you can find those 2 or 3 extra people. I'm going to tell you, I've been to a lot of college career fairs as well. I've had great success, and I've had no luck sometimes at those places too, because I'm sure, like a lot of you guys are, you're a small family business. I mean, I guess I can't really say we're a small family business, but essentially we have that feeling, right? You come work for our family, not like a big corporation. So sometimes it's hard to draw those college kids in, right? Because you're not offering them $200,000 a year starting off, you know. So I find sometimes some of those local outlets may be a better fit, especially the tech schools as well. So going off of the social media post, and maybe that child or the college student who you found does a really good job taking pictures. So on a slow day of the busy season, maybe, you know, you're kind of in between orchards, you know, when it comes to picking or something like that, and you do have a little bit slower day, grab all the social media content that you can. Take as many pictures, walk around, take videos, take clips, because no one knows on social media if you took that photo 5 days ago or 30 days ago, right? No one knows that. You know, you can, I mean, not that I've ever done this, but maybe they're looking for specific varieties of peaches or pumpkins, anything like that. And you have a picture from a year ago. Or you have a picture of a variety that looks very similar that you took 3 days ago. That could work. You know, and so I just think to really kind of prioritize on that time and just start getting snippets of a lot of different things that you could use, even though you're not going to use it in that day, in that particular moment. I'm not a fan of scheduling posts online. Of course, if it's like a closing or something that I've made on Canva, which I don't know if anyone in here uses Canva, it's a great app. Super easy to use. If you're looking for, you know, you're going to close due to weather, you're going to make a standard flyer, you need to add words to a picture, or like I was talking about the varieties, like maybe showcasing a variety. Great templates, super easy fonts. You just put it in there. So I am a big advocate of Canva. It's an app on your phone that helps you make some social media posts. It also gets that picture the right shape. So if you're posting on Instagram, it's the square. If you got Facebook, it's the rectangle. It also has the reels and that sort of thing, right? Template. So Canva's really great. I'm not a huge fan of scheduling things. You know, if it's not something that's just a flyer or, hey, we're going to be closed. But So that's what I was saying. When you grab this content, you don't necessarily have to schedule it that many days out. Maybe create an album on your phone. Mine just says farm, so I can separate my farm videos from my family videos, right? And I can start to maybe pull just some photos out of that album that could be relevant other days of the busy season. I hope that makes sense. And then keep a calendar of what you post. I know the Meta Business Suite does this for you, right? You can look and see on that page all of your posts, what you have posted, what you've got coming up if you have scheduled something. So you can use that calendar. But I'm a big fan of a written calendar, right? And it could be something that I just jot down. I've got like a big desk calendar. I can jot it down there, something I keep in my pocketbook. It's really helpful too for those silly days, that I don't forget. I've got 2 daughters, and when everybody's posting on Daughter Day, I'm like, what's happening? Do I need to do this to say I love my children, right? But, just to keep up with some of those kind of silly, National Peach Day, it's Peach Cobbler Day, it's Peach Ice Cream Day, or Farmer Day. So that way I can keep a calendar. So when that day comes up, I'm not surprised. You could go ahead, talking about scheduling posts, and schedule them out for the year on a non-busy day. All those like silly holidays, just go ahead, schedule them out for the year, and all of a sudden you wake up, it's going to be a busy day, and you're like, oh, I've already posted to Facebook today. Hallelujah. I don't have to worry about that. I also like to keep hard copies. Obviously, when I said I keep a written calendar, it's something that I like to do. I'm very much a visual person. If I see it on my desk or a piece of paper floating around, a Post-it note, it's a good visual for me, because my mind, sometimes there are so many things going on, whether that's hiring somebody, running the market. We've got peaches coming in. I've got to fulfill 10 extra mail orders that a company who does a lot of business with me has just added on. Someone's calling me, telling me that, my daughter's sick, and it's just a lot happening. So I find that if I have some hard copy Post-it notes, but I do find it helpful to have some things just already printed out. And this is also helpful for those forms that you're always trying to grab on your desk. I don't know if you are the one in charge of, just employment applications, H-2A releases, right? All of a sudden, someone's got to go back home because their wife's having a baby. You got to have that form out and ready to go and all their paperwork. So some of those forms that you need quickly or have access to, that you need access to pretty quick, direct deposit, the kid comes up and he says, my mom says I need to get a bank account, and she wants this next check to go in, and it's Tuesday, and you process payroll on Monday, and you're like, okay. So, just some of those forms, just go ahead to have on your desk in manila folders, and you can pull that out very quickly. Stock up. So I think everyone in this room, has this issue, or we especially do. I was talking about the T-shirts earlier, but we say, it's just a hard thing to do. If you're in the commercial business or the retail business, and you use, some sort of production numbers, sales, how you grab that. We use the Clover system, so we can run reports on how many boxes we sold, how many baskets we sold each week, and just kind of get that number together when it's not the busy season and order them, because every year's pretty much the same. I mean, not every year's pretty much the same, but you can have leftovers and things like that. It's better than running out mid-season, right? Or, people come up for you pick and you don't have any baskets left. So just try to maybe get a good grasp on some of your yearly production numbers and order accordingly before it gets too busy. And I also said this includes snacks. Office snacks, right? I think Sam's this year, I went before it got really crazy, and I stocked up on waters and crackers and all kinds of things to make everyone in the office happy, especially the guys maybe in the pack house who didn't have time for lunch and they need a quick peanut butter cracker or something like that. And that's my brother and my husband and my dad. So if they're happy with the snacks, I'm happy, so let's try to keep everyone happy during the busy season. Also, with prioritizing tasks, this is really hard as well, right? You have things that you don't mind getting done, and then those things that have to get done, but you really don't want to do it, and I tend to sometimes push those to the end of the day because I just can't get my mind there right now. But it is very important to prioritize tasks to what is the most important thing. Even this morning, we were talking about how sometimes you wake up thinking what is going to be the number one task, but that's definitely going to move, right? I mean, you have to shift and prioritize your task for the day. So this includes, high priority tasks, any sort of food safety things that come up, H2A deadlines, whoever is impeaching here, we certifying right now. We had to get that in maybe before we left, but we might have an extra day after we get back because it's a holiday. So some of just those paperwork things that we have to get done, it's just highly important to prioritize that. Just like that Facebook post that I was talking about, like that can wait. I mean, essentially, if you've got other things that are very pressing, that can be pushed to the side for the day, and you get those really important things done. And then my last one is family comes first. So this is me, my husband, my 3 kids, and just like the presenters before us. So it's me, my husband, my brother, my dad. We both, work on the farm, which is a lot of hours. And we rely very heavily on our village to help us with our children because they are, our 10-year-old started to help more. Over Christmas break, he did some pecan picking off the ground and strawberry picking. And during the summer, we needed some extra help with our mail order, so he's putting box tops on. And my brother was like, yeah, bring him. How much are we going to pay him? 25 cents a box? I was, whoa. We got to start at the very bottom because he's got a lot of years up ahead of him, right? So I feel the same way. It's working or growing up on my family farm has taught me a lot of things. And I hope to pass that on to my children. But sometimes during the busy season, we get very jaded, right, with why are we doing this and is it worth it? And both of our incomes are relied on how well the farm is doing. So, is this profitable for us? If it's profitable for our farm, is it that leaking over into our family life and our children's lives if we're coming home tired and exhausted? But it's worth it, and I think that's what we have to come home to every day is to know that even during the busy season, there may not be very many life hacks that work every single year, but you can come up with a few that work for you, right? And to share those. And that's one of the reasons why I love coming to something like this, because I do hear about all the other things that you guys are doing. And I'm like, that is such a great idea. So we don't have it all together. And I love hearing from you guys as well, just bouncing off ideas about what you're doing on your own farms, and I hope this helped as well.
Hey everyone. Hey. So before we start, is there anyone in the room who is already doing farm stays? Fantastic, awesome. So we are Bowers Farm. We're located in Pomeria, South Carolina. Maybe some of you are even younger, not in age, but in years of experience farmers than us. But this year is actually our 10th anniversary as a farm, so we're very excited. I know earlier we talked about branding, and we were told by a marketer, it doesn't matter if you compare yourselves to people who've been farming 100 years, you take advantage of those anniversaries. So this was my first opportunity to share our 10-year logo. Thank you so much. But we are located in Pomeria, which is in Newberry County in South Carolina, pretty much right between Greenville and Columbia. So we are Bowers Farm. We're a multi-species livestock farm. We believe very strongly in multiple streams of revenue, and we are all about creating a life you love. So the ways in which we have found that we can spend the most time on our farm is through multiple streams of revenue, one of which is farm stays. So very quickly, Brandon grew up on the land. It's family land. Started in 2014 with our first batch of meat chickens. And I I very much take ownership of the reluctant farmer's wife. I grew up in a neighborhood. I thought my chicken grew on the public shelves, and I didn't even have grandparents with the farm. Everybody comes out and is like, oh, I remember visiting my grandparents. I'm like, nope, didn't even have those with farms. And I never expected farming to be my thing, but what I had to find was my thing on the farm, which is farm stay. So I'm so glad that Brandon said you wanted to talk to me. So a big part of us figuring out that this was a direction we wanted to head was in 2020, we redid our website and brought in a marketing team, and they really pushed us on what is Bowers Farms values. What are your deepest core values? Where do you want to direct people when they come see you, visit you, go to your website? Welcome was our first priority, as well as sustainability, ethical treatment of the animals, and education. And really all four of these tie in for our experience with hospitality, especially welcome and education, but it also with sustainability of not only our farming practices, but also as a business. We want to be able to be around, and so as a revenue source, we have found that this helps us in that way as well. So it's a little bit of a snapshot of our farm and kind of what's most important to us. So now I'm going to move into farm stays. We're going to talk a little bit about our experience with two programs, one called Harvest Host. That tent in the front yard is not a tent camper. That was my son's who set up in the front yard. I don't want you to think you're going to have a tent, village. But this was actually our first Harvest Host that came, was that large RV that you saw. And then we also host through Airbnb. And so our experience with Airbnb may be a little different from yours, our setup, but it's a great opportunity for farms. So if you are at all interested in moving into farm stays, you first need to understand that you are moving out of agricultural business and into the hospitality realm. And so that's a really important mindset change, that you are now opening yourselves up to hospitality. And I would say any sort of agritourism, festivals, you're still in the hospitality business, but this is taking it, I think, to it's a different level, maybe not another higher level, but a different one. Airbnb is the platform that we have used. There's tons of them, Vacasa, VRBO. We've also experimented with doing booking straight through our own website. It didn't do much. Airbnb really doesn't take out much of the money as far as fees, but then you've already got a website set up that's getting tons of traction already, so why would I try to duplicate that on our own farm website? So this is our 2-bedroom, 1-bath with a kitchenette Airbnb that rents out for $110 a night. There are people that were in there last night and the night before, and there's someone going in today. My husband is flipping it. I know he's doing a great job. He's been sending me pictures, making sure the bed was tucked the right way with the comforter, and I was like, it looks perfect. But this is also a shared space on our farm, so we have an inset screened-in porch, so it has an exterior entrance. This is not for everyone. My mom thinks we're crazy that we are inviting people into not only our space, but it's an exterior entrance, almost like an in-law suite, but they are upstairs. When there were kids there this past weekend and they drop a toy, I can hear it. But that doesn't bother us, and there's tons of ways to do Airbnb. It doesn't just have to be a shared space. Some people rent out just a bedroom. Some people rent out entire spaces. Some people rent out entire homes or a tent. Tons of opportunities for that. So what I want to point out to you on Airbnb is that there is a section up at the top that is farms. So Airbnb has seen it as enough to say that this is a special category of farms, of stays, is we're going to say that there are farms. If you search in our Newberry County area, we're the first one that pops up. We're a guest favorite. So excited. And then even if you stretch it to the Midlands, so all of Columbia, we're the second one. We're 45 minutes to an hour away from downtown Columbia, and we're the second one that pops up. That has to do with traction already, guests who have stayed, your ratings, but also just people not taking advantage of being listed as a farm stay. A side note, we have also rented our space out through a platform called Furnish Finder. And so we've done 3-month stays with traveling nurses. So if you are looking into farm stays and there's a slower part of the year, you can list it on Furnish Finder. Just wanted to share that in case it's of any interest. Obviously, traveling nurses are looking for shorter stays, so about 3 months, and they're looking for something fully furnished. So as an Airbnb, you fit into that category really well. Will hang out and answer any and all questions that you guys have, but Harvest Host, I want to spend a little bit more time on that because I think that is probably more easily something that a farm can start today. So the picture on the left, sorry it's so dark, that was one of our busiest nights. We had 3 campers that night, including my daughter's favorite. The schoolie in the middle is purple. You can't really see it, but she thought it was so cool that these 2 little girls lived in a purple school bus. She thought it was awesome. And then this video is of a night where we had 4 guests. We've had 4 a couple times. There was a question earlier about living on the farm. Yes, we live on the farm. This is our home that I'm taking the video from, the porch. And we had them all spread out. So what is Harvest Host? The basics. It's a membership program, so people who are RVers, campers, some are full-time, some are just traveling between places, they have joined this membership program. And in exchange for 1 free night stay, they support your business. This is how you get around all of I'm not a legal person. I think this is being recorded. I'm not giving any of that information, but what I'm telling you is the way that they've set it up, because they're not paying to stay there, you're offering your space out of the goodness of your heart. And so that works around all RV rules and that sort of thing. And they often are boondockers, meaning if you're not familiar with the RV world, that means no water, no electric. They're self-contained. And then one piece I didn't even think about till right now is that you get to decide whether you allow generators or not. We have, but some people don't because of noise and whatever your reason may be. We do allow people to use generators on our space. But essentially, through Harvest Host, you're able to turn space on your farm into a profit. Space that was just sitting there and someone comes and camps. We've had Mac Daddy RVs that have almost as much square footage as our little farmhouse, and these truck pop-ups that have come and stayed, every single size, and then they support our business. Harvest Host allows you a lot of control. You can customize the calendar, you can block dates, you can open it up for dates. If there are busier seasons and you're doing fall festival and you're like, there's no way that I ever want someone coming on this property with an RV during strawberry season, block it. You can totally do that. Also, time. You can set up times that people have to arrive by. I will tell you, so we are super flexible on that because, like I said, we live on the property. But if there's a gate to enter and it closes at 5, you throughout your messaging and your profile, you just have to make sure that that is clear and evident that they must arrive by 3. A farm down the street calls Harvest Host individuals, they're 300 by 3. They do 300 miles a day by 3 o'clock p.m. That's like his little thing about them, is that generally they're in there between 3 and 5 is our experience as well. And then you also get to customize the space. So you can set up parking instructions. In just a little bit, I'll show you the platform so you can kind of see what our profile looks like, but you direct people where to go. You can move and have signage. Thank you. You're so friendly. It was just such a nice little morning. So we have been to a farm, Chattooga Bell, in the upstate of South Carolina, where they had signs that said Harvest Host parking, Harvest Host parking. And so they had them already kind of deciphered out from their property. For us, we tell people the septic's in the back, only park in the front because we don't want them running over that. And so they have all of our front yard pasture chicken paddock area to choose from, but that's all up to you and the number that you'll allow. With any sort of farm stay, our recommendation to you is to work smarter, not harder. Automate, automate, automate. On Harvest Host in particular, I got a text yesterday for someone asking for a stay. I click on the link, I approve the stay, they get an automatic message. People don't read, but do as much as you can to put it in the message. And I always say that any of our messaging is aimed at the lowest common denominator, because as whoever asks the dumbest question, that's the one that gets answered in that message. Every time someone has a problem finding it, I add something to the instructions. And so we're always pulling from people's experience or lack of observation, and making sure that that's clear in the messaging. And then also, in our experience with both Airbnb and Harvest Host, the worst case guess accounts for less than 5%. I can't tell you that 5% wasn't super, super annoying, but don't let that 5% keep you from doing it. And we've heard that with all of real estate, the renters, any of that, it's 5%. On Harvest Host and on Airbnb, you get to review your guest and they get to review you as well. Why would you ever think to put in the effort to do a farm stay? Lots of conversations today have been about marketing. It is free marketing. They come to your farm, they take pictures, they share it on their social media, they follow you forever, they come back. We've had Harvest Hosts come multiple times to our farm, but it is a way to market your farm where you're not paying a marketing budget. There's also an income to it. Our Airbnb rents for $110 a night. We know exactly how many nights we have to have per month to pay for our mortgage, and that's kind of our goal each month, is that our Airbnb covers our mortgage rate, our mortgage cost. But then also our Harvest Hosts who come, they're supposed to support your business. Have we had Harvest Hosts come and not buy anything? Yes. We've had vegans come to our farm, and I tell them, please don't feel like you have to buy anything, and they'll just give me $20. And so anyway, as a livestock farm, we didn't have much to offer that woman. But it's an income and a revenue source, and one that's kind of just sitting there waiting. And then also, it is a way for you to share your life. So this is super important to us, especially with our education emphasis. When people come to the farm, Harvest Hosts, sometimes they'll join for farm chores, and we tell them, you're more than welcome to come, but I'm not gonna slow down. And so they get to come feed up all the animals with us, and we just keep on moving, and they might chat with us. Some of them just wanna go for a walk on a beautiful farm day. And so you get to share your life with them, a life that more and more people don't know anything about. And so it's a really cool way. Our dream is that, for instance, a family who came and stayed with us, they'd sold their house and were waiting to close on the one that they were moving to, stayed with us for a month. Their sons were throwing the baseball in the backyard, all this sort of cool stuff. But when they left and moved into their housing development, they had an agricultural experience. A couple times the kids came and helped with chores. Like, they asked questions. They wondered what it was like to live on a farm from our daughter. So we got to share that life. And our hope is then when they go back to that housing development, they have a respect that they can share about the world of agriculture. And also, I don't know about you guys, but we don't get to travel very much, kind of tied to the land and the work that we do. But this is a way that you get to travel through the people who come to you. One of the coolest Harvest Host experiences was a family traveling from Canada. They were from a French-speaking part of Canada, and their two little girls were playing at the sandbox with my daughter, and they're speaking to each other. And she, at 3 years old, looks at me and goes, "Mommy, what dim say?" And I said, around the end, they're speaking French. And what dat? Like, she's trying to figure it out, but she got to travel. She started asking for words, and they would, I don't know any French, but Romney Ann would ask them, what's this? And they'd tell her in French. And so she got to have this cool experience. We've had families from Hawaii, Alaska, all over the U.S., a family that now lives in the Myrtle Beach area, but they're originally from Australia and France. They travel together. It is a way from your piece of God's green earth and heaven there on your farm that you get to travel and see, especially the U.S., but even the world. So I'm going to show you what the platform looks like. Okay, perfect. So this, if you were a Harvest Host member, you would, well, first I want to show you this. Oh, that's not where it is. Excuse me. So if you were a Harvest Host member and you were searching your stay and you found Bowers Farm, we uploaded some pictures, and then as guests stay, they upload more pictures. We got to tell them the max rig size. We have made sure that our canopy is high. We even had a rig come in, and he told Brandon, that branch is a little scary. Brandon was like, no more. And they cut it down so that there's wide access. If you're not an RVer or a camper, find a friend who is and ask them to drive in a truck or whatever it looks like. If you're already getting massive deliveries from 18-wheelers, you can take every rig that would be on the road. We can say parking spaces. We've said no same-day requests, but you can be open to someone being on the road being like, we've got to find a spot. And then Harvest Host automatically sets a one-night max stay. We do have the option that they can pay for a second night stay. That's our personal choice. And then if you have extra things, you can add it on. So if you have firewood, they can buy a bundle of firewood from you, or I don't know, just different experiences they might be able to get on your farm. You can charge them for that. Charge the heck out of them. So we gave them a little synopsis. We give them parking instructions down here. Do not turn right into our driveway. Do you want to know why that's in all caps? Because someone turned right into our driveway and ended up in the ditch. So if they miss the turn, they've got to go all the way around. Now, that person was very kind and apologetic because it was his fault. But anyway. So we try to make everything as clear as possible for people coming. Harvest Host, also, when you join, they will share your profile to the Harvest Host website. And so, like, you get on their profile on their Facebook, and they'll spotlight your farm. So another way of marketing.
That didn't come up. I don't know why.
What did?
Did you have the...
Oh, yeah. I don't know why it's not. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Thanks. You guys just let me keep talking. You were so sweet. Outside of Harvest Host. So they can pay you what we ended up doing when we reset up our website. Thank you so much. Y'all, really, you just let me keep talking. You're so sweet. So we set it up through our website. So when they get their automated message from us, it has a link to our farm store. We do not have an on-farm store. We have a basement full of freezers. And so they place their order online. We pack it to them and we bring them out to them. So we hope and try to get them to place their order ahead of time. And so through that, they can also buy an extra night stay. Not often do they, because they're just stopping along the way. We are often a stop right before Savannah. Like 50% are headed to Savannah or Charleston or Pigeon Forge. That's where they're going if they're going north. So, I'll show you that. Like, you can set up all of your profiles, details, when people can check in, when they can check out. If you allow animals, you can tell them no pets. Tons of different resources. I will also say that Harvest Host has been a great platform to work with as far as like reaching out and asking questions. They're very responsive. And then also, that's okay. So a lot of times when we reach out and ask questions, they're very responsive. We've had someone from Harvest Host come and stay. They booked it through the platform. So he was able to give us some pointers. He was like, you're not charging enough for your second night stay. Like, you're not doing, like, but then with our messaging, he got it all. And he was like, this is perfect. And I was like, thanks. People still don't read it. And he said, I know, but. Yeah, so are there any other questions? I should have asked permission if there are time for questions. Awesome. Thanks y'all so much.
All right. For this next one, Brianna, I haven't queued anybody up today, so I really shouldn't even queue Brianna up because that shows favoritism. But she's my coworker, and it is so important to both of us, the future of agriculture. And so that's why I've asked her to come speak today for the next generation. She's got opportunities.
I'm going to try to be quick because Kelly knows I love to be long-winded. I also love a microphone more than anything in the world. It's like an ongoing joke in my office that it's my lifelong dream to like host karaoke and trivia nights, at restaurants and stuff. It's my unfulfilled passion. So call me if you have an opportunity. But I work for Georgia Farm Bureau. I know anybody not from Georgia in this session? Awesome. Okay, so if you're from anywhere in the Southeast, pretty much everything that I talk about today, you will have something equivalent in your state, because all of our states have Farm Bureau, and I specifically work for the Federation. So a lot of people know Farm Bureau as insurance, and we even had someone in here earlier talking about insurance from our company. And when most people see the logo on my shirt, they're like, "Man, you work for that insurance company," and I'm like, yes, but no. I actually work for the Federation. So we've got two different, I don't know why that did that. We've got two different divisions of our company. So the Federation was founded first, and then we actually established insurance as a member benefit. So it's a membership organization just like anything else. You can be a member of Farm Bureau in your state. For us in Georgia, it's $35. And that is who we are. We are a membership-based organization. What I love about our membership is that $19.50 of your membership stays in your county. So if you're from Chatham County and you become a Farm Bureau member, that money from your membership is staying locally and directly impacting education, awareness initiatives, all of the things that make our organization unique. So we always like to say we're more than just an insurance company. We do appreciate our insurance customers because they also pay membership dues. So you have to have a Farm Bureau membership to get our insurance. But this is, I'm being recorded, but I'm going to say it anyway. You do not have to have our insurance to be a member. You can just join, just to support Georgia farmers. So essentially, our mission in Farm Bureau is really to support and advocate for farmers. Like, I work for farmers. I work for our farmer membership. And helping to advocate for them for what they do and raising awareness of agriculture, advocating for agriculture, whether it's at our state capitol in Washington, D.C., or even advocating for them at our local, county commissioners meetings, things like that. We're here to support farmers and the interests of farmers and protecting that rural lifestyle and what we do. Y'all already know I'm preaching to the choir. Industry is so important. So something that we do in order to carry out that advocacy that I work on specifically and that Kelly works on is we have programs. And one of the programs that I work with is Young Farmers and Ranchers. And obviously, a lot of y'all probably, if you're in this room, maybe you grew up doing 4-H and FFA, and all of those things are wonderful programs. They're great for leadership development, showing livestock, all of that. What I love about Young Farmers and Ranchers, I'm a prior ag teacher, so this is kind of like the next step to me. I always like to say leadership development and growth, it's not a destination, it's a journey. We never stop the whole growth process and becoming more knowledgeable about our industry. That's why you're here, is to grow and learn. And I know that you know that because the more you talk with people and the more you learn, the better your business becomes, the better advocates you become for what you do. So Young Farmers and Ranchers, it's in South Carolina, it's in Tennessee, it's in Florida, it's in Kentucky. It's literally everywhere. It's a nationwide program, but it's for our young folks in agriculture ages 18 to 35. And I kind of like to think of it as like the next step after FFA and 4-H. And there's collegiate level programs that we offer in the state of Georgia. But I'm going to get really specific about talking about Georgia programs. And that's really selfish on my part because I want you to come be a part of these programs. Y'all are essentially what we're looking for. So some reasons that you should be involved in Young Farmers and Ranchers. It's to support and protect your industry. We do all kinds of advocacy and education activities, and I'm going to talk about those in just a little bit. Becoming a leader for your industry. We developed in Farm Bureau, Young Farmers and Ranchers, we developed this program because we are looking to equip and prepare the future leaders of agriculture, whether that's in our organization, serving on our county boards, but also maybe you're going to become an elected official at some point and represent our industry. Here you are here to network and build relationships and learn from each other, and that's another way or another benefit of being involved in this program, learn about and advocate for agriculture. And then we also really stress personal and professional development. As far as your county is concerned, there are several different ways that you can be involved at your county level. So every county has a board that essentially runs and operates the budget and all that good stuff. You can become a member of your county board if you're a farmer, or you can serve as your wife and our chair. You can serve on your Young Farmers and Ranchers Committee. We are always looking for and needing volunteers to do educational activities, to host people on their farm, to host legislators on their farm. We're always wanting to connect with our farmers. So if you're a farmer, we need you in Farm Bureau. We need you to be actively involved. And even if you're not a farmer, if you just love agriculture and you want to support the industry, we need you too, because we need as many hands and feet as we can to get the message of agriculture out. As far as state and national opportunities for Young Farmers and Ranchers, you can serve on our state Young Farmer Committee, which we open applications for in September. We also have an event called the Legislative Drive-In. It is the day before our Georgia Farm Bureau Day at the Capitol. So if you, no offense, guys, if you're a lady and a member of Farm Bureau, it's for our women's leadership. It's part of our women's leadership programs and our young farmer programs. So come to the Capitol with us. We give you, it's a minimal, nominal program fee, and we give you a room to stay the night and go to our day at the Capitol. But Legislative Drive-In is basically like a leadership development program. We have a speaker that comes, does a workshop, and really helps to prepare and equip you to advocate for agriculture. We also have a trip to DC coming up. We do a lot of educating our legislators and building relationships with them so that we have someone to call on. And we believe that young people are a great way to do that. So we go to DC every year. This year, the trip is May 7th through the 10th. Another conference that if you're in Georgia, I would love for you to come to is our Wife and Our Summer Leadership Conference. And if by chance you're not in the age range of young farmers and ranchers, I know that you know someone who is. Maybe there's someone that works on your farm. Maybe there's someone down the street that works for a company. Maybe it's your chemical sales rep, somebody that you know that you can share about these opportunities. But Young Farmers and Ranchers Conference, the leadership conference, is similar to this. There's different breakout sessions, rotations, speakers. It is more focused on professional and leadership development, but that'll be July 17th through the 20th, not too far from here on Jekyll Island. And then there's also AFBF leadership conferences. And if you are a lady of any age, I also oversee our women's leadership programs, and we do have a Women in Ag Summit. It's every November, and it's actually right here in Savannah next door at the Westin. So we would love for you to come back and be a part of that. Just really quickly, these are the details of Legislative Drive-In because it's coming up really quickly. And maybe you're sitting here and you're like, I'm not a Farm Bureau member. That is okay. You can join Farm Bureau at any time. And I don't want to get into this sales pitch, but I am super passionate about Farm Bureau because I love the work that we do. I was a member before I worked here, and I know that, we hear stories all the time. Some people have thoughts and opinions, and they're like, well, I'm not going to be a member of that, and have those stories. But I would just really encourage you, to maybe just have a fresh start, refresh your mind, and come back and join us and come to some of these events and be involved. Because we need you desperately. So you can register at the website. This presentation will also be saved, or you can email me and get the links. The other trip that's coming up is Wife and R to DC, and something new this year that we're really, really excited about is that it is actually a free trip. So with an application and selection, you can go with us to Washington, D.C. It's really great. We do hill visits. We tour different facilities, meet with our representatives. And so, again, if you know someone or if you would like to go, the application is open right now. It's due right at the beginning of February, and we would love to have any of y'all or anybody that you know on the trip. And again, you can apply at that website, gfb.ag, and then /YFNRDC. And then also Summer Leadership Conference. This is really huge for us. This is kind of like our cornerstone event every summer. Those are the dates. Again, it's on Jekyll Island. Our registration will open in April. Definitely follow us on Facebook because that's where we advertise a lot of these events. And then Kelly mentioned earlier some marketing ideas is if you have, awards that you've applied for and that you've won, I really want to encourage you or anybody that you know to compete in our competitive events because chances are lots of you or people that you know qualify, and it's great because you get free publicity, free marketing. You win some pretty awesome prizes. But Discussion Meet, they release topics for that contest every year. There's 5, and it's essentially 5 problems that we're seeing in the ag industry. And then it's designed for competitors to talk together and discuss together to find a solution. It's not a debate, it's a discussion, and it is an individual competition, so you compete individually. And for us, our state winner wins a John Deere Gator. They win a cash prize, and then they also, we send them to compete at our annual Farm Bureau, American Farm Bureau convention. So we're actually leaving next week for that, and it's in Salt Lake City. So all my competitors and all of Chalmers and South Carolina's competitors are going to be headed that way. Same for all the other states. So really, really strong incentives and reasons to compete. We have a very comprehensive website for Discussion Meet. Recordings of the different previous contests, so you can kind of see how it works and how it functions and runs. So it's not an intimidating competition or anything. I would say most people compete in Discussion Meet the entire time that they're in Young Farmers and Ranchers. I'll have everybody from a 34-year-old to an 18-year-old that's competing in Discussion Meet, and it's really cool just because you get to see a lot of different perspectives. Another award area that we have is Excellence in Ag. This is for our YF&R members who might work in ag industry or they're working towards becoming a full-time farmer, but they're not quite there yet. So it's for members who do not earn a majority of their income from production ag. And it can be a couple that applies. It can be an individual that applies. Same thing, you get a John Deere Gator, $500, and a trip to American Farm Bureau Convention. It's a really, really great award program. And again, if you are involved in your community, if you're involved in things like fruit and vegetable growers, if you're involved in cattlemen's, if you're involved in all these different organizations, you volunteer, there is literally no reason not to apply. And then finally, Achievement in Ag. This award area is for our individuals or couples that are involved in production agriculture. So they're full-time farmers. That's where they earn a majority of their income. And for this winter, they get the 4-seat John Deere Gator, farm sign, cash prize, all the things. This is kind of like our pinnacle award. It's kind of like our Young Farmer of the Year award. And again, get to travel every year somewhere different for our American Farm Bureau convention. So we would really, really love for y'all to apply or encourage people that you know to apply because these are really great opportunities for our young future ag professionals or ag industry. So if you do have any questions or ever have any questions, man, I was quick today. If you do have any questions, please feel free to email me. And get my contact or take my contact information. I'm sure, does anybody have any questions? Again, I would say if you are a little bit older in industry or maybe you're past that 35 age range, I know that you know someone who is maybe young or just starting out or they're a new producer. Nothing means more to them than mentorship. And sometimes you might get really frustrated because you know, they think they know everything and you kind of get the impression that they think they know everything. But we all value and learn from other people. And so I just would really encourage y'all, find those people on your farms or in your communities or in your area that you can work with and invest in, and eventually you're going to find somebody that really appreciates it and is really willing, because we're all here because somebody took the time to invest in us, whether it's our family or maybe somebody that we didn't even know. So yeah, if y'all have any questions, let me know. But thank y'all so much.
All right, we've got our friend Tony Thrasher back, going to come up here. He did something this morning on aquaponics. Has a neat operation in Pelzer, South Carolina. I visited his farm for a meeting and was just amazed by all the outreach and different things that he's got there. And he's growing his farm, but the solar on the farm. And we were talking last night at dinner about his golf cart, solar powered, and so the couple that was really going, well, I'm going to go home and I'm going to
figure that out.
Yeah, so
right.
Tony, after you, thank you very much.
All right, so we talk a little bit about solar on the farm. How many of you have heard about solar photovoltaics to like run your house off grid, or how many have you heard anything positive about it? Okay, so heard a little bit. How many of you heard like lots of negative things about it? Some people maybe? Okay, so it's like, kind of one of those things that's really up in the air. Can y'all hear me okay? Sounds like I'm louder. Okay, sounds like I'm louder than what I was this morning. So it sounds like to me, because I'm out in the solar PV field working with Engineer 775, I actually have his shirt on this morning. Practicalpreppers.com is his site. If you need more information, you can go to him, reach out to him. But I work with him just because it's fun. I like to learn, and I go help him. I learn all kind of stuff new all the time. Kind of ran across him. I went to Greenville Tech and took their solar PV program. Learned everything I could about solar PV. I was already doing HVAC. I'm a licensed residential builder for South Carolina. I'm licensed in HVAC. I do a little bit of everything. I didn't know about solar. I wanted to put solar on my farm, so I went to Greenville Tech. They had a solar, like a little certificate program. And I went and took all their classes. They had 3 classes. One was just an introduction. The next one was, I don't know, it was a next level. And then the third one was design and installation. But they postponed the design and installation one. And I needed to get my system built before they were going to offer the design and installation. So I just figured it out, and I put my own system in. The first system I put in was an 11,500 watt solar edge system with 55 310 watt panels. Did everything myself. Did the net metering agreement with Duke Energy, connected up, got it approved. I did everything. So it can be done. A lot of farmers are very resourceful. They can do a lot of things on their own. So, you know, I feel like if I can do it, anybody can do it. That just because I'm a licensed builder and stuff like that doesn't necessarily mean, like a solar edge system to me was just like a quick connect. The hardest part for me was designing it so that it would work, for what we needed. And that seems to be the mystery in the whole solar part of this, designing your system, is making sure that when you spend the money that it costs to put in a solar system, that it does what you want it to do. There's a lot of people out here renting systems. You basically just take your power bill and convert it and pay it towards, you know, some of these people who just rent their systems out for 25 years. At Practical Preppers, we don't do that. We're into selling systems that work for exactly what you need. So he does a lot of design help. If you need to know what you need, he has a consultation thing. He'll come out, he'll look at your farm, to look at your power bill, look at all of your equipment. He'll figure out what needs to be done and design a system that's going to do what you need it to do. This is my system. This is where we were actually putting in the second array. That is the poles that we hammered in with that excavator. There's the excavator pound Napoleon. This is inside. There's the Solar Edge 11,500 watt inverter. After I put that system in, I started working with Scott Hunt, and found out about the Solarc systems. And what I found with the Solar Edge is at that time, there wasn't a way to do battery backup. So if the grid went down, I still didn't have power. Now they've kind of done some things differently, and there is a battery backup system for Solar Edge, but I'd have to upgrade this inverter to have that capability. So what I did is I just AC coupled a Solarc system to it, added a whole nother array, and added 8 5,000 watt batteries. So I have 40,000 watts of backup battery generation with it as well. So these systems, we can do single phase, we can do 3-phase. A lot of farms have 3-phase systems, so we can do 3-phase as well. Infinitely scalable, so we can put in multiple inverters. If you need more and more capacity, we can put all that in. This is my system that's in my power shed, and this is the batteries that I was talking about. There's basically three major parts. We got the solar array that's outside, and there's a couple of different ways of mounting those arrays. We got the inverters, and we got the batteries. This is the first one that I put in. It's the low profile ballasted mount. For the most part, this is created for rooftop applications. Like this building could have that same type system on top of it. I did this because Greenville County made me put this system behind the front of my house. If you look at that, this looks like the front of my house. But according to Greenville County, that's the front of my house because the road's up there. So I literally had to put it outside my front door. So I didn't want to be looking at the back of an array. So I put it on the ground, and that's why I use that type of system. But it works good because it gives us the ability to show people there's different ways of doing it. And literally, we don't even see that because because I've got a 4-acre pond. When I look out my front door, there's my pond and there's my farm center. I don't even see that. But everybody that visits is like, they walk up and they're almost right at the house and they go, "You have solar?" So it is an eye catcher and everything. Everybody's excited about solar. This is the second system we put in. Now they see this one before they see the other one. But we have lots of solar now. But this is a post mount. Drive these in the ground. We don't even have to disturb the soil. A lot of times people are having to dig holes and put concrete in. We can just hammer them in. We just hammer the pole in. We can seasonally adjust. So typically you need, like in our area, 34 degrees is about what you need for most of the year. But in the summertime, you can go up to like 55, and then you can get down to about 19 in the winter to maximize. So we have jacks that you can put on them and seasonally adjust them. This is just the heart of the system. Like I was talking about before, we can put in multiple stacks of them to increase the wattage. So I think these are 12Ks, 12,000 watts a piece. So depending upon how much production you need, we can stack them together. Transformerless inverters, maximum efficiency, stackable, and the interface, yeah. So battery storage, there's lots of different batteries out there. Battery technology's really come a long way. Batteries are really expensive, but batteries are what give you the ability to have solar 24/7, okay? You can get solar production. You don't have to put in batteries. You can put in a system without the batteries and then add the batteries later. So that's one of the things about it is scalable as well with regards to the batteries. Those batteries, you can look on practicalpreppers.com. I think they're about $2,700 a piece. So they're not cheap, but you can put one in this year, one in the next year, one in the next year, and just keep adding so that you have more and more. And really what you need to do is be able to make it through the night or make it through a long cloudy stint if the grid's down for a period of time or something. And ice storms is really what I was focused on because I need to be able to continue to operate my refrigeration units, our house, the refrigerators in the house, our air conditioning systems, our well. So I was looking at, if we have an ice storm for 7 days again like we did about 10 years ago, we can manage it. We can work through that with no problem. It's a switch of a disconnect. Closed loop and open loop. So some of these are open loop. These do not communicate, but some batteries do communicate with the inverter, and they'll actually measure temperature and all that kind of stuff. So as they need to be charged, they'll charge. When they need to stop charging, they'll stop charging everything. That's the closed loop systems. This is a complete farm in Saluda, South Carolina, where we went in and put in a whole system. Operates his grain silo, operates his well pump, operates his dairy barn, operates his watering and everything to his cows. Although this is a feeder, it was just this is the well, and that kind of reminded me to say that, you know, it's operating the entire farm and even their house. And this is just the array, and the cows seem to love to get underneath the shade of the array itself. And they don't typically mess with anything. Now, could you have one that starts messing with stuff? Yes. We haven't seen that yet. We don't really have a problem. But you can also just take a small solar fence charger and fence it off if you wanted to, if you're putting it out in the middle of the pasture. We've done that to some people who are like, I'm not letting cows get near that. So real easy to do that. But it also, something I didn't think about, that Scott mentioned last night, is it gives, if you, depending upon where you put it, it's also a place to store stuff. So you might park your gator under it or whatever. You might put hay bales under it or something. So it's really just storage out of the elements as well, depending upon where you put it. So this is what Chalmers was talking about before. See the solar panel on top of the golf cart? I did this about 2 years ago to my golf cart. It's a 48 volt club car golf cart. I put one, I think it's a 325 watt solar panel on the roof. I took the big roof off. It had a big red roof that went all the way across the top of it. I took it off. I took some unistrut channels, created a little frame, and mounted a solar panel on top of my golf cart. And then there's one solar charger that you need, that you plug in the power cords from the panel into it, and it literally keeps the golf cart charged all the time. So, and we use that golf cart nonstop. I have a gas one also. I never get on the gas one. We drive the one that I have all the time. We used to have, it used to be that you just never knew when you got on it if it was going to be charged or not. So now it's like, doesn't matter. You get on, it's going. You can drive it 2 miles up the road if you want. It's charged all the time. Now, I mean, obviously, if you run it, 10 miles down the road, it's not going to keep going because it's like a trickle charge. But literally, it keeps it charged all the time. 2 years, I have not charged it up. We used to have to charge it up about once every 2 days. Yep, I talked about all that. So solar water solutions. He also offers simple pumps, the hand pumps. That's something else that we do for some people who want the ability to pump water. Maybe not just solar, that doesn't really have anything to do with solar, but we have pumps that can be put in conjunction with a solar pump as well. And then we also have solar submersibles, shallow wells. And really the important thing here is there used to be, I think there still are some EQIP programs through NRCS that can fund some of these things. So if you're at a point where you need to put in some irrigation, check out the NRCS's EQIP programs for water and for water for your pasture or water for irrigation, and you might be able to use those funds to put in a solar pumping system that can either pump just when you need it or might pump if you have some elevation change. You might be able to put a container on top of a hill, and you put your pump in the ground in a well, and you pump when you need. There's a switch down here that when the tank is full, it turns it off. But other than that, it's pumping if the sun's shining. And it pumps up the hill. And anytime you need water, it runs down to the cattle's waterer, the Mirafont waterer, or it goes down to other levels, to the house, whatever. We're using gravity, the elevation change, to get the pressure that we need. So we're just pumping all the time from solar. So there's no power used in this system at all. Not from the utility. This is totally off-grid. And then agrivoltaics. Some people have big farms and they want to put in lots of solar, a solar farm. So agrivoltaics is something new. It's kind of a fairly new term that I've seen anyways. And they're starting to plant a lot of fields underneath, or they're actually just going into fields and putting in solar into the field, and it gives you the ability to either have your animals graze underneath if it's just a field, or it gives you the ability to plant row crop underneath, as long as you don't need the big tractors. You know, like it might not work for planting corn, but for beans that get picked, or strawberry fields or something like that, that need some sun but some shade, this works really good for that. It gives you the ability to pick in the shade. So that's something else to think about. And then, I didn't know if I would even make it to this. This is my walk-in cooler. I've got a 17.5 by 11.5 walk-in cooler. This is a 12K mini split. There's the kit right there from EG4. It's an AC and DC mini split. 12,000 BTUs, so that's 1 ton. And you have to take the cover off of it or it'll freeze up. But we put a CoolBot system on it. A lot of you might be familiar with a CoolBot. So what we're doing with the CoolBot is we're fooling this. There's the control for the mini split that I just took out of the, it was actually in this area behind the cover. And I took it out and I just zip tied it up there. It's not doing anything. The CoolBot is what's controlling the mini split. And here's my temperature. And here's my graph where I'm controlling between about 42 to 37. I can control it lower. I just don't need it to be any colder than that. So I have it set on about 38 degrees, and it maintains really close to 38 degrees. And there are 5 solar panels on the roof. Those are 445 watt solar panels. And the green, this was on January 11th. The green is solar production, and the orange is AC production from the grid. So you can see I'm probably, even if I'm 50-50, 50% of my production for that mini split in that walk-in cooler is being produced off of those 5 solar panels to keep my walk-in cooler at 38 degrees. So that's something else you can do. You can do that with window units as well. Now I don't know how you do you couldn't do solar panels on it, but you can do the CoolBot on a window unit and stuff. But EG4 makes a 1 ton, and I know they make a 2 ton. So if you've got a bigger one, you need to put in more capacity, you can put in 2 ton, or you can put in 2 1 tons and do the same thing. And for more information, you can check out Engineer 775 on YouTube. He's got all kinds of information, all kind of YouTube videos out there on stuff. If you're you want to do it, but you know how expensive it is and you don't want to get it wrong, okay? Make sure that you work with somebody who's not just trying to sell you a system to rent it to you for 25 years. You want to make sure you get it right. You know, Scott's in the business of getting it right so that you're happy with your system, so that it does exactly what you need. And there's all kind of videos out there for you to see, and you can throw questions out there. He answers them and stuff. And I just help him. I just go out and help him. But I told him I was coming out here to do a presentation this morning on aquaponics. I said, I'm going to be there. You want me to do a presentation on solar? I'm sure it'll probably go over pretty good. And he was like, yeah. So practicalpreppers.com. He sells whole systems. He sells these EG4 mini splits. I don't think he's got the CoolBots on his website yet. He might before too long. But he has solar panels, does consultations. He'll come out, he'll look at your place, tell you what you need, and if you want to do it yourself, he'll tell you what you need, and he'll help walk you through it. You know, obviously, if there's a lot of time involved, there's consultation and stuff like that. But if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Scott's the way to go. He can help you out with being able to do it yourself. Any questions? Yes.
The solar system that was on the dairy farm,
Yep.
how big was that?
Let's go back and look.
Just estimate. I mean, doesn't be
So
yeah, that farm.
we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times 2, 28 times 450. That gives you an idea how many watts of solar PV production.
How many? What is that?
I don't know. He's doing the math.
Oh, okay.
12.6.
12,600. And that's probably on one 12,000 watt solar arc inverter.
He probably has battery backup too.
And I started off with 3 batteries. And I said, there's no way, at least 3 batteries gave me the ability to run my refrigerator, okay, in my house, and maybe my freezer, but maybe we had to turn everything else off all night long, right? And maybe you did, maybe it not, but I said, 3's not gonna work if we have cloudy days. So then I added 2 more, and I got to 5. And then a year later, I added 3 more. So I'd go work for him. I work for solar, so I'd go work for him, and I'd be like, hey, just, you owe me this. I just want 2 more batteries or whatever. So I was working. I told him I was going to get me a sign that says, we'll work for solar. But that's how I got my batteries. But I bought everything else. So, but the batteries don't have to be put in initially. If you get the inverter and the array put in, that gives you the ability, especially if you can net meter. But there's also the ability to do 200 amp pass-through with a 15K system, which means you can run the whole house off of the inverter. So during the day when you're producing, it'll actually run the whole house as long as it's not over 15,000 watts and you got enough PV outside to push that. Whereas the 12K doesn't have that capability. So there's a little bit of difference between 12K and 15K. Scott knows how to talk all that stuff. I just know that he's really starting to push the 15Ks because it gives us the ability to do 200 amp pass through straight through the inverter. But batteries, like I said, you don't have to do it right away, but if you're going to start with something, I put in at least 3, gives you some nighttime production, and then if you needed the ability to be completely off grid, it depends on your situation. How much power are you going to consume through the night? And nighttime's usually when your production really tanks, so you just got to figure out what your nighttime production or consumption is and put in enough batteries to be able to make it through the night. Any other questions? Yes. Most panels that we're seeing right now have 25-year warranty on them. So I don't know if will they not last, and there's a degradation. So there's a degradation curve. Most of them in that 25 years are still producing, from what I remember, about at least about 80%. So if it's a 445 watt at year 1, whatever the curve is down to 80% of 445 at year 25. That's kind of what the manufacturers are stating. It's about 80% at year 25. I only had 1 damaged solar panel, and it's because a tree limb fell and hit it. And I just got up there and replaced it. Just bought it. It was actually still working. I can see individual panels and what their production is. It wasn't producing quite as much as the other, but it was still producing, even though it was really bent on one corner and it was shattered completely. It was still producing. So I just didn't like the way it looked, so I bought another one, put it up there. They say 10 years is what Solarc is saying is 10 years, but we don't know yet. LifePo 4s are new, so it's not a liquid battery, a flooded lead acid battery. Those we know, everybody knows 6 to 10 years is about all you're going to get out of flooded lead acid. This is a different technology. Probably depends on, are you hammering it real hard every day? We're not really hammering ours really hard every day. I am pulling out. I've got mine set up so that it'll start pulling 1,600 watts at 4 o'clock. And it does that consistently until 10 a.m. And then I turn them off. I don't let them pull anymore. And then I charge them back up, and they're down. I wanted to pull them down almost to 20%. I think for the most part, I'm pulling them down to 23 to 27%, depending upon what the load is through the night. And then at 10 o'clock, they start charging back up, and then by 1, they're fully charged back up. If it's a sunshiny day. It might take a little bit longer if it's a cloudy day, but so that's kind of what I'm seeing. But I didn't want my battery. I didn't want to spend what I spent on batteries for them to just sit there. And to your point, at year 10 go, man, I wish I would have used them some. So I don't know. We'll see. Not sure exactly how long they're going to last yet. That is still a lot of unknowns. There's still a lot of unknowns in it. So the return on investment for me, because everybody always asks, my first system I put in, I spent $25,000. I got a 53% tax credit. So I got about $12,500 in it because I truly got the full tax credit back. On that system, if I use that, I probably have about a 5-year payback. I put it in myself, okay? I spent $25,000, but I got half of it back. So I got about a 5-year payback on it. The next one I put in was about 35 grand. I put it in myself. That one, I just finished it in August. I put the inverter in last August. I put in the first array of the second system. So I got two. So I put this one in last August. I put this one in this August. So again, it's kind of scalable. You don't have to do it all at one time. Since I put it in, so it's a little bit different. I can't say it's all since last August because I didn't do it all at one time. But if I pull it up, I'm pretty close to $3,000 return on investment so far. Just since, not 2023 August, but I started that system August 2022. And I'm already at $3,000 return on investment from that system. So I think that one probably has about a 10-year payback for me. The other one's probably going to have about a 5-year payback for me. But our power bill was about it probably averaged about $500 for the whole farm. Because when I first put it in, I had them separate. And in the summertime, I was definitely $250 a month on the house because we have a building and camper and refrigerator, couple of freezers and all that kind of stuff. So it was running $250 a month on the house, down to maybe about $125 in the winter where we were running gas heat. I took the gas heat out and I put a dual fuel system in because I wanted to be able to utilize as much electricity as I could. And I also, when I did all of this, I pulled the farm to it. So now I'm powering the entire farm. I can literally hit a disconnect and I'm totally off grid the entire farm. We ran it for 2 days and it was cloudy for those 2 days. And we were still charging our batteries all the way up in the daytime. So I feel like we're pretty good, but we've also added a few things since then. So obviously, when you have one of these systems, you really need to think about where you're headed with power consumption. Because when power is not costing you money anymore, you forget and you start adding and adding and adding and adding and adding. It doesn't matter anymore to you. So you can overshoot what you're producing, and then you end up with a power bill again. So you need to build the system for what your goals are over time. So, but that's one reason why my solar system kept adding, because I kept adding stuff. So, but we also didn't have battery backup, so our second system became our off-grid battery backup system too. So, any other questions?
Any other questions?
All right. Yep.